Hello, Aquarius. Welcome to your monthly zodiac reading for the month of October 2025. We have finally reached fall. I know so many people are very, very excited, but we are in the month of October. This month, the energy will be a little bit calmer. However, we will still have some very potent aspects that will take place. So, as always, we will pull an overall energy theme. I will pull tarot for each week. We will go over the astrological transits occurring in those weeks. I will discuss where they will hit or where they could reveal themselves based on your Aquarius rising sign. And then I will pull more tarot to clarify those messages and then pull some additional oracle guidance. I want to use this deck. We'll see how it goes in this reading, but I'm going to start with this deck to get the overall energy. What does Aquarius need to know for the month of October 2025? The Phoenix. I love that because Pluto is currently retrograde in your sign, and Pluto governs things like transformation. So here we have the Phoenix. We have resurrection, surrender to change. Are you resisting something? What things are you resisting? I'm going to read from the guidebook on these because they have beautiful explanations. And not only that, but this is a deck that can be read direct or reverse. So when the card comes out direct, this is considered an ally. The Phoenix appears as your ally to celebrate your journey and to ensure your ultimate success. This is true even when it appears that you have just passed through a metaphysical experience of death or are currently enduring a perception of failure in your life. Death and rebirth are related when you enter the realm of the Phoenix. Seen in this light, nothing truly dies, but rather changes, from one ending directly into a new beginning. The Phoenix is constantly reinventing itself and rises up whole and new, even more powerful with every death it experiences. This could signal an end of a relationship or of a dynamic within one, or an end of a job, a project, and even a life. Perhaps no failure is involved, but it is time for a complete overhaul of your circumstances. You may be tired of what you're doing, or you may know intuitively that it's time to move on and try something new. Whatever the case, a death of the old and a celebration of new life are called for. Whatever you do now will indeed be a successful endeavor, for a rebirth is imminent. So this card can symbolize that for this month, there are going to be significant changes in your life. Maybe you have recently experienced those significant changes and you are still just kind of processing. You're still kind of being reborn into this new version of who you are. Okay, so let's see what the tarot has to say. After I cut this deck, I'm going to turn the music down. It's actually kind of distracting. I didn't think it would be, but it's a little distracting. It's like binaural study music. But it was actually, I don't know, for some reason that particular one was just a bit distracting. So here in the first week, the Eight of Swords in reverse. So here in this first week, the Eight of Swords in reverse represents either freeing yourself from very limiting beliefs, freeing yourself from this self-imposed mental prison. I do like the fact that we have the Phoenix and we're doing things about resurrection. And here is a card that symbolizes like mental freedom from something. On the hindsight, it can represent that you're a little too trapped in your own self-criticism. Okay. Here in the second week, we have the Three of Swords in reverse. So this is accepting a loss, accepting a heartache, accepting a sense of separation from something. So as this book said, as the guidebook indicated, it could mean a loss or like a job, a relationship, or even the death of a loved one. So here, when we have the Three of Swords in reverse, it represents that the separation, the ending, the heartache, the initial piercing of the sword into the heart has already occurred. Here, we are in a space of finally accepting that something has ended, right? We're finally in this space of acceptance, and now we're moving on to a place of healing. Here in the third week, we have the Emperor. So the Emperor is very analytical. He's very a take charge type of energy. He is someone who really stands, I don't want to say stands true to his convictions because that's more of the King of Wands. But this is about taking control, right? This can represent someone in your life. It can represent an authority figure, so a boss, a father figure, maybe an older sibling, or it can represent you. But the Emperor does represent an authoritative figure in your life, and it can represent someone who influences a specific amount of control over you, but not in a way that is negative, more like a guiding force, more like someone you would look up to. Okay. And again, this can represent you, and this is you taking control, analyzing what needs to change or analyzing really what is changing and maybe the role you need to step into in order for you to move through this significant changing period in your life. Here in the last week, the Queen of Wands in reverse. So the Queen of Wands in reverse, again, when we have a court card, it can represent someone close to us, or it can represent you as the energy itself. The Queen of Wands, when she's in reverse, can symbolize someone who is feeling a little insecure in themselves or a little insecure in their ability to really be bold with who you are. Remember, Aquarius, you're all about authenticity, right? How does your unique individualism, how does your unique self, how do you contribute to the good of the overall collective? That is kind of an underlying theme within your energy. But this is Leo energy, right? The Queen of Wands, when she's in reverse, she's Leo energy. Leo energy is very bold, it's out front, it's very prideful, but not, it can be prideful in a way that is very egoic, or it can be very prideful in a way that is very, like, the pride is coming from humility. Okay. But when she's in reverse, it can mean that the ego is taking control, pride is taking control, or there's a real sense, there's a lack of confidence when you walk into a room. Maybe you know, like, it's almost like internally, you know that you're taking control. But when it comes to expressing that control, expressing that confidence externally, it's almost like there's a struggle to do so here. Again, this can also represent someone who is in the room who's kind of a drama queen. Like when she walks into the room, she just stirs up drama. Maybe she's very loud, she's very boisterous. This could be somebody in your life, and you may need to separate yourself from them. Here in the first week, we have Mercury moving into the sign of Scorpio on the 6th. Mercury is the planet of thoughts, ideas, communication, and it is moving into the very deep and transformative sign of Scorpio. So this is a beautiful time for self-reflection. This is a beautiful time for empowerment and focusing on empowerment. Where do I empower myself? Scorpio, for you guys, sits in your 10th house. This is your career. Remember, I said here, this is an authoritative figure. This could be you stepping into a more authoritative position in your career. This could be you feeling more confident in who you are while you're in the workplace, or how people perceive you. Not only is it your career, is the 10th house career house, it is also your public reputation, your public persona, and your legacy, right? How do you want people to see you? How you want people to see you. And it could be that Mercury moving into the sign of Scorpio, your career, so maybe you're actually being able to let go of some of these limiting beliefs when it comes to your career or your public persona. On the 7th, the day after, we will experience a full moon within the sign of Aries. Aries, for you guys, sits in your 3rd house. All right, full moons are a buildup of energy, and the light of the moon reveals what is hidden, reveals what needs to be let go of, and reveals the things that we ultimately need to release when the energy begins to wane. And it could be, again, we've got swords here. This is all about communication, this is thoughts and ideas. This full moon in Aries could be revealing where maybe you're just no longer going to limit yourself when it comes to how you think or how you speak, right? Because Aries is sitting in your third house of thinking and communication. So this full moon in Aries, be mindful that when you speak, Aries is very fiery and it's quick to temper. Be mindful that when you're talking to people, you're not doing so from a very reactive place, but you're doing so from a place that it feels very empowering. Like you're no longer going to cower away from saying what it is that you really think. You're no longer going to let any sort of limiting belief limit how courageously you use your voice. And that's a really beautiful thing. Here in the second week, Venus is moving into the sign of Libra. Venus is love, money, relationships. I keep wanting to say attachment, but I don't know why, but maybe attachment. That's not a word I typically use with that. But Venus is love, beauty, aesthetic, money, and what it is that we value. And it's moving into the sign of Libra. It is the home sign of Libra. So Libra sits in your ninth house. This is your house of expansion, right? This is the house that governs things like higher learning, spiritual and religious belief systems, moral values, and it even governs things like long distance travel. But here with you, Libra moving into, or Venus moving into Libra, which is sitting in your ninth house. And then here we have a Libra energy of healing. It's almost like what's going to allow you to heal from this loss, what's going to allow you to heal from this heartache is almost, it feels like a deeper understanding of your spiritual belief system. A deeper understanding that loss doesn't always mean an end. Okay. And that's kind of what this feels like to me. This healing space, this acceptance is actually a deeper understanding of what happens when we lose a relationship, what happens when a friendship, why did that friendship end, or even what happens in the afterlife if we've lost a loved one. So that's kind of what this energy feels like. Venus moving into that sign of Libra. She's very at home here. It's one of her home signs. So this is like her house in the Hamptons. Like it's her house. She's at home there. She belongs there. She knows where everything is. So it means that Venus is going to be operating at her fullest potential here in this second week. And I think it's really going to allow you this deeper sense of healing by coming to an understanding again of your spiritual belief systems. That happens on the 13th. On the 14th, Pluto is going to go to direct in your sign. Okay. Again, Pluto is a very subtle energy. We actually see it play out more in a collective space than we do an individual. But because Pluto is directly sitting in your sign, you guys are going to feel it more so than anyone else. Pluto is the underworld. It is what is hidden underneath. It is the shadow aspects. And it could be that now that it is moving direct, it's going to allow for a space of empowerment and healing through deeper understanding. Here in the third week, we have the new moon in the sign of Libra happening on the 21st. New moons are a blank slate. They are a new opportunity to set intentions. And again, this is happening in Libra, so this is your ninth house, right? And this is really about maybe taking, like I said, taking control. Taking a control and really analyzing, what do I believe in? Because the more I understand what it is that I truly believe in, the more I can advocate for what I believe in from a very confident place. Okay, so this is your house of higher learning. So again, this is governing things like higher learning, furthering your education. It is also governing things like your spiritual or religious belief systems, and even your moral values, like what it is that you value on a deep level. So really, it could be really evaluating and really beginning to take steps in your life to live your life based upon your core values. here. And it could be, again, it could be like a father figure, a boss, someone that you look up to could be an influencing factor. Like, I really like how, say if it's a role model in a way, I like how they express their core values. I like how they live by integrity. I like how they act from a very grounded place. It could be things like that that you see other people that you admire, that you respect, people that you see as an authority figure. Really taking a look at the things that you admire in others and being like, okay, how do I, like, what is it about that I appreciate? And how does that incorporate into my life? And do I want to incorporate into my life? Okay. So it's really a new opportunity with the new moon to really, again, evaluate your own core values and then begin to take steps and intentions to take control and to really lead by example, because that's what the emperor does when he's direct. He's leading by example. That is also the day or the week that we will have Neptune will retrograde back into the sign of Pisces. Neptune has currently been retrograde. He's been sitting in the sign of Aries. Neptune is things like unconditional love. It is boundless love. It is, but the thing about things being boundless is that there's no line between reality versus illusion. There's no line with that. And we've seen that a lot with a lot of religious things that have been heightened over the last, especially like religious ties to how people view as leaders. We've seen a lot of the shadow aspects of Neptune, delusion and illusion, really taking a hold of people, right? So remember that when Neptune retrogrades back into Pisces, we are going to see that on a collective level, that it could really deepen that aspect. And that could be why you're called to begin to lead more by an example. That is also the following days on the 23rd is when we will shift into Scorpio season. Anytime we shift into a new season, the themes and qualities of that sign will begin to take center stage. It is also kind of when we step into like really getting amped up and geared up for Halloween season or like witchy things, which is perfectly tied to things like Scorpio. So on the following week, in the very last week, we have Mercury, again, the planet of thoughts, ideas, communication, moving into the sign of Sagittarius. For you, Sagittarius sits in your 11th house. This is your social circles, your networks, group activities. It could mean that like you really feel more grounded and centered with who you want to be. You want to lead by example, but it could be that when you're with friends, you struggle to assert that confidence. You struggle to really embody who it is that you want to be. And with Mercury being there, it could be that you're really struggling to voice your opinion with a sense of confidence that the Queen of Wands actually would. And again, if this is moving into your 11th house, it could be that you find that a very close friend is not who you believe that they should be. Maybe you're starting to realize, God, this person is a drama queen. Like they just like to stir the pot. Or maybe it's someone who's jealous. Maybe it's like, it could be someone in your close friend circle, someone in your network, close friends. I don't want to say coworkers because it's not the 6th house. It is more of like your social, it's group activities, social networks, even on social media. Could be someone around you that you're like, man, they really do like to stir the pot, don't they? So that could be you needing more to lacking the confidence to really speak on what it is that you really feel, even though you feel it within your chest, you feel it within your heart space. It's still, like I said, you feel it internally, but you're struggling to express it externally. Let's see what clarifying messages we have. Here in the first week, the 8 of Swords in reverse. The 3 of Swords in reverse again. And the Queen of Wands in reverse again. So these two cards are directly tied to your own limiting beliefs. It could be that the limiting beliefs have been tied to a heartache or a loss that you've experienced, right? Whether that's the loss of a good friendship, whether that's the loss of a loved one, whether that's the loss of a relationship, the pain from that loss was previously impacting your ability and was contributing to your own limiting beliefs. It's contributing to your feelings of insecurity within yourself. It's contributing to maybe your feelings of pride. I'm trying to see what comes up, because even though I say pride, I don't necessarily feel like that's correct. It feels almost like an uncertainty, not necessarily being incapable or like an insecurity even, but it feels like an uncertainty. Like there's just like a lack of confidence in your ability to take charge. A lack of confidence in your inability to step into this role of being a leader, almost. Step into this role of being someone who speaks, as cliche as it sounds, as someone who speaks from their chest. Like instead of, it's almost like your voice has been a little mousy, and like you've tried to keep it kind of balanced, very Libra tendencies to not want to rock the boat, when in reality, you want to speak more confidently. You want to speak more assertively, even. Right? And it could be that there's been a loss in the past that you've really struggled to overcome, but this full moon in Aries is going to allow you that release. You're going to finally see that that's what that is. And you're going to be like, oh, well, if I can address this loss, if I can overcome, if I can understand that loss deeper, if I can come to this place of acceptance of that loss, I can finally let this go. And then I can finally let go of the insecurities and the uncertainty that have been holding me back. Okay. Here in the second week, the Three of Swords again, healing from that loss, acceptance, the Four of Wands in reverse, and the Seven of Wands. So it could be that the loss that you've struggled with has really kind of, unfortunately, maybe created a lack of boundary between you and maybe members of your family or members of people you've just been really, really close to. The Four of Wands, when it's in reverse, represents a sense of instability, feeling like there's potentially an event you don't want to go to. Like, I don't want to attend this. I really don't. And there's a need to protect your energy. All right. And coming into this place of acceptance, you maybe recognize that now that you've kind of gone through this transformation, now that you've kind of stepped into this place of acceptance of certain losses, you realize where you don't want to be. And you realize where you need to put in stricter and stronger boundaries, because the Seven of Wands represents feeling like you're incapable. So there could be something of that nature that's coming up. Maybe feeling like you haven't been capable of maintaining your boundaries because there's been some instability that has kind of creeped back into your life. But I really think that when you come to this place of acceptance here, the week of the full moon, when you come into this deeper understanding, this very healing and transformative space here in the second week, I think you're going to realize, oh, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be in this friendship or in this friendship anymore. I don't want to be at this job anymore. I don't want to be in this relationship anymore. Or I just don't want to have ties to this person anymore. And I really need to create stronger boundaries between me and this individual, me and this other energy. Okay. Here in the third week, the Emperor, the Ace of Pentacles in reverse, and the Eight of Wands. I keep getting the feeling that for some of you may be approached about a promotion or getting another job, and you're going to want to make quick decisions. You're going to want to take charge and take control of the situation. But the new opportunity to either receive this promotion or to receive this new job is still in development. It's not quite ready yet. So I would just be mindful if you're looking to change jobs or change careers, pace yourself. You can still make plans to leave. You can still make plans to make that change, but the opportunity itself is still in development, and you may need to be a little bit more practical about the steps you're taking. Okay, because you absolutely can take control, and you absolutely can make quick decisions that are going to work out well for you. But you also need to be very practical about what it is that you're looking for. Or not necessarily what you're looking for. It almost feels like you know what you're looking for, but not to make impulsive decisions. You want to make calculated decisions. The Emperor, he's an energy of really making, like I said, those calculated decisions. That's how he became the Emperor in the first place, because he made calculated decisions. So you can make quick decisions, but make sure that they are practical, and make sure that you have a sense of real understanding of what is going to be required of you in order for you to make these changes. Again, this is the new moon in Libra that's occurring. This is a new beginning in your 9th house. For some of you, this could actually be sitting in your 10th house as well. So again, if this is with your career, make sure that you're being very practical about your goals, because the opportunity is not going to reveal itself immediately. Okay? But what you can do is prepare for when the opportunity does become available, that you're ready to take that quick action. Here in the last week, the Queen of Wands, the King of Swords in reverse. There's a lot of mental chatter in your mind. Mercury moving into Sagittarius, and it could be that, again, if this is someone influencing you, this is going to be a friend, potentially somebody who struggles with their own mental stability. And I don't want to say like they're mentally unstable, but someone who struggles to silence their own mental chatter, and they could be projecting that onto you. So the insecurities that you feel may not actually be yours. Okay, and again, we talk about stronger boundaries. The energy that you feel, that uncertainty, that instability, that kind of chaotic energy that you might feel around you, it's coming from someone else potentially. So just be mindful of that. And it's going to be a close friend, because this is hitting your 11th house. It's going to be a friend. For some of you, this is going to manifest as like this lack of confidence, this uncertainty is going to, it's going to come from, it almost feels like a lack of knowing what to do. Because here we have the Three of Pentacles, and the Three of Pentacles is known as the architect of the tarot. Well, the architect is somebody, one, who is deeply experienced, and they've gone to school to learn everything they need to know about being an architect, about structure, and about, not only that, they have to understand building codes. There's so much that this type of energy needs to know in order for them to really do what it is that they need to do. So if you're feeling uncertain, and it could be coming from a lack of knowledge around what it is that you want to build. How do I want to restructure my life? How do I want to move forward in this new direction? Find out. Ask somebody who you trust. Ask somebody who you feel like has good experience and good knowledge with what it is that you're trying to do, and ask them to show you what it is that you're needing. But the insecurity and the uncertainty that you feel, the lack of confidence that you're feeling, I think simply just comes from a lack of knowing, a lack of understanding certain subjects. Okay. Here we're going to wrap it up with some additional oracle guidance. Oh, those just flipped over. Star bathing, light body, transmission, and activation. I do feel like here in this first week, something gets activated within you. It's almost like this deep realization of what you've been going through, kind of what this transformation has brought forth, what it's kind of triggered in you, in this very deep understanding. Here we have big picture thinking, visionary and inspired ideas. Okay. Here in the second week, keep your eye on the big picture and recognize where you need to maintain your boundaries and where it is that you don't want to be anymore, right? Where do I not want to be? Do I not want to be involved with this friendship? Do I not want to be, where do I feel, where do I feel like I can't really express myself? Where do I feel like I can't actually express myself? And then take chances or take the necessary steps to place boundaries and remove yourself from those groups of people, from that relationship. Jump in. Adventure, say yes to change. The opportunity is there. Like I said, it's still in development, but it feels like with the Ace of Pentacles in reverse, there's a need to be prepared for it. But you can take control. And if you choose to take on this adventure, if you choose to take on this significant amount of change, it will work out. Weight of the world, boundaries, let it go. It's not yours to carry. What did I say? Someone's mental instability, their own lack of knowledge, or their own inability to control their own racing thoughts is, I think, directly impacting you. So you need to make a plan on how you want to handle that situation. Again, it feels like boundaries is going to be the answer. But it doesn't feel like, you might actually feel more confident in yourself if this person was not constantly in your ear. Whether that is completely telling you, just word vomiting everything that's going on in their life, whether they're trying to make you feel guilty for something, whether they're trying to, misery loves company. They just want you to be as miserable as they are. Whatever it is, that weight isn't yours to carry, and you need to make a plan about what it is that you want to do. Okay? If it is someone who is struggling with their mental health, maybe you can advise them, hey, I really feel like this would do you some good. Here's the number to a therapist, or here's the number to like a group, what is it? Like a group, kind of like an AA meeting, like support group. There we go. A support group. Like, hey, here's the number to a support group. But like, you can't be their support system anymore, because it's beginning to really impact your ability. It's beginning to impact your own mental health. Okay? And maybe because you've been going through this transformation, you've been going through this significant change, maybe like the stress of it, the exhaustion of it, the confusion of it, it happens to all of us, is that we kind of let things begin to slip. Our boundaries become more fluid, and people begin to drift in and out closer to us than maybe we should allow them to be. But now that you're seeing that that is potentially happening, it's time to really firm up those boundaries and let the things fall away that need to fall away. So I truly hope this helped, and we will see you next time.